your host. My name is Rubel.
I am Zarkath.
And we've got a nice tournament bracket so far. We have 12 teams signed up, and only a few of them are actually going to be veterans to our tournament process. That's going to be Attack on Children, Xanark and Apes, and Team Sorrow Mid. Everybody else is actually, this is going to be their first tournament, so a lot of new blood to this tournament.
Yeah, a big team that we're looking at before the tournament even starts is You Was Bread, Now You Toast. It's a team made up of a bunch of Diamond 1 players, so the spotlight's on them for this tournament.
Yeah, it should make for very interesting setups here. And not a lot of changes going into this tournament. A lot of them were live with our previous tournament. Just to go over those real quick, the previous big changes were Gragas had that major rework. Rengar had that major rework as well. And then some itemization changes with Feral Flare, Aether Wisp, and Forbidden Idol. And then just some changes to runes, like the big nerf on armor runes, the buff on HP runes, and cooldown reduction, and lifesteal quints were the big changes with the last couple patches. Oh, and not to mention the heal changes on that summoner spell. But other than that, everything's going to be pretty kosher.
Yeah, as we saw in the recent LCS games, the Feral Flare junglers have really come to prominence. A lot of the things that they do are stall the early game out. So now instead of these really snowbally champions like Evelynn and Vi, we're getting these farm-oriented champions like Nocturne, Yi, Xin Zhao. It's kind of the point where Xin Zhao is really the top-tier jungler in the world right now. So I'm really interested to see how these newer teams, these younger teams, have really adapted that play style in the jungle more so towards the Feral Flare farming style than the early kill potential Gib style. So it's really going to be an interesting tournament.
Yeah, it's definitely a very strong item. I believe it's so. What the changes were with it is they do have that not Will of the Ancients. What is that item called? The
Spirit of the Ancient Spectre?
No. Wriggle's Lantern. That's the one I was going for. Wriggle's Lantern was the item. So now it builds off of that, very similar to Seraph's Embrace or Mirror Mana, where you farm so many large minions in the jungle, and it turns into this Feral Flare that does all sorts of damage based off of how many hits you do. And it's a very strong item at the late game, but it does take quite a bit of time to actually get to that late game stage.
Yeah, so that's kind of been the focus. You're seeing a lot more top laners like Jax and Ryze, and junglers such as Nocturne, mids as Orianna. Those kind of late game scaling champions. So a lot of people are moving away from the early game assassin type champions and the tank type champions in the top to the I'm gonna scale to late game. I'm gonna figure out how to beat you then. Let's just farm until the end. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, for sure. And another major note from a lot of the most recent LCS play is Gragas did get that huge nerf. He was one of those very, very top picks just because he had that very strong mobility with his body slam, and then he had huge burst potential with his exploding cask and his ultimate. So definitely with the changes on him, we still might see him, but probably more in a supporting role, maybe even in a jungle, but I doubt we will see him very much at mid.
Yeah, a lot of what Gragas' issues was he was one of the few AP casters left with a 1-to-1 ratio on his ultimate. Yeah. That gave him an obscene burst potential to the point where people couldn't stand in a fight with Gragas. If that ult hit more than 3 members of your team, the fight was over. So now it's to the point where Gragas is more effective, from what I've seen, in the jungle. You have a lot of power there with his E slowing the jungle creep's attack speed and a lot of wave clear. It's going to be interesting to see what the displacement is with the new mids coming in, as I said, such as Orianna, with that late game scaling, that late game team comp with the ultimates, versus a lot of people are still wanting to run that early game catch team comp. So I think if we saw a game where we have a very early game oriented team, a very late game oriented team, I would really like to see if those teams can still be dominant or if it's just going to be the late game teams.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how we do this, because since a lot of these teams are probably going to be in the bronze, silver, gold range, there are quite a few that are in the platinum and diamond as well.
Yes.
But we do have such a wide range of abilities here that there isn't going to be that established meta that we see in the pro scene or in the high diamonds. So it'll be very interesting to see what people can make work. So, and I'm looking forward to it very much. So.
I am too. It looks like the brackets are posted and we're just about to get this started. So I'm excited.
The brackets are up. So we did have those final 12 teams come in, it looks like.
It looks like Now You Toast, or You Was Toast, Now You Was Bread, Now You Toast, excuse me, are playing Team Soro Mead for the first game. So once we get that all set up for you guys, we'll get in the Champ Select and get it going.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So, other than that, the only other major change that we saw in the most recent patch was that heal summoner spell. It's becoming a lot more prevalent. Before it was just kind of an AoE heal. You heal yourself for more and then you heal everybody else. Now it's almost kind of like a cleanse mechanic where it does remove those slows and give it a movement speed buff, but it only heals you and I think it's the closest ally.
Closest lowest health target.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Sona Heal, where it'll heal the lowest health beside yourself. And I'm glad you brought up the heal changes, because that changes the way AD carries play now astronomically. Before it was kind of focused on barrier baits, trying to get that ignite maybe for extra damage, and that was pretty popular. That was pretty common. Now it's only heal. That's really all you see, because that's giving the AD carries a lot of kite potential with their slow removal, as well as a lot of innate health that they didn't have before. So you're seeing a lot more risky AD carry play, which is kind of contrasting to the late game, let's see how this goes later play. So as said, it's an interesting time with the jungle changes, with the Pharaoh Flare changes, seeing what's happening. As it's going to be really fun. It really is.
Yeah, and should make for a very interesting tournament. So, yes, this first game we will be watching is going to be between that Toast. I'm just probably going to be calling them Toast, but your was bread, now you Toast. Anyway, they're going to be Toast from now on. Versus Team Soro Meat are going to be our first game here, and that should be coming up here in just a few minutes. And it should make it very interesting. Some of the other teams that are in this bracket, these first round games that will be going on while we are watching this first game will be Attack versus Zulu Ninjas, and then we will have Shrek is Last versus Ovary Destroyers. Ovary. I'm very bad at this. And then finally Xanarthan Apes versus Reed. R-E, Ray, D-D-D? I don't know. Maybe somebody can enlighten this.
I think that's Reed-da-da-da. I'm going to go with that. Reed-da-da-da.
Okay. But once again, we will be watching that first game, which will be Toast versus Team Soro, or TSM. We do indeed have the TSM in our tournament, guys. So I hope you're ready for it.
I don't know if Chance are going to be ready for this one, but it'll be interesting to see. I would like to say that Team Soro Mead is one of the 3 returning teams that we have. We've seen a lot of their mid play dominating their play style, so it's going to be interesting to see how that carries over into this game. A lot of what they do is focused around their mid laner, and these are 2 really star power teams right up front that we're going to be watching play. So I'm really excited. I think that with the difference between Team Soro Mid and Toast, as we're now calling them, is going to be seeing what they can do with this mid play, where Toast is a complete wild card. You have no idea what they're going to do. So I'm really excited to see both teams. I'm really excited to see both teams play. I think that jungle changes are going to be really apparent in the beginning of the game, and we're going to see what both these teams have in store for us in just a minute. So, what comments do you have on watching Team Soro Mid for the past couple of weeks, Rubel?
They were definitely a very strong force at that middle lane, like you said, and it did prove to be very, very good at their. I'm just having trouble remembering because I just remember a lot of those comments from the some of the other teams that didn't decide to show up today. So I'm having a little bit of trouble remembering exactly what their play style was, because that last tournament we watched a lot of games.
Okay.
So
all right, we are champ select, so this should be a fun time. We're about to get started. It does look like Toast has the first pick. Excuse me, that's Team Sora Mead has the first pick. So we're getting to ban phase. Thresh is the first ban.
pretty very popular champion for them to ban, just because he has such strong lane presence there at that bottom lane, just the ability to lock down characters. So.
Going to the top lane again with the farm carries, the late game carries. Ryze is banned out. Very popular top lane carry. Very strong late game, can carry games almost by himself.
Yeah, he has extreme tanky abilities.
And Kayle is the next ban.
Once again, another very strong champion that can dish out lots of AoE damage and also shred a passive. She can be very strong. And
also with the AD carry protection from the ultimate, similar to Lulu style of play.
Yeah.
We see a Kha'Zix ban here. Very old school jungler with the catch and an early game snowball. And the Xin Zhao ban is big. We were talking about the Feral Flare earlier. That's kind of the king of the Feral Flare era, we'll say.
He does have those massive attack speed steroids, and then that ability to lock down the target is very strong with him. So
yeah. Also, with Xin Zhao, the shield from his ultimate, if he gets a 5-person ultimate, is obscene. And we see the Lulu also banned, which is what we saw that with the Kayle as well. They're trying to take away that AD carry power that just protect the AD carry game. We see a first pick Sona. That's a pick that I wouldn't have expected, but the ultimate power from Sona is a great tool to be used in team fights.
Also, with the most recent changes with Frost Queen's Claim and the items that build into that, that line has been a lot more popular, which is a lot more relevant with those kind of ability to support range support. So like Sona, Soraka, those what's her name, Karma, they all have been very, I feel like, more popular in that support role, just because of the fact that Frost Queen's Claim can generate so much more gold for those range champions with that.
Yeah. We see Renekton and Graves picked up first for Toast. That is a strong pick. Graves is probably the top tier AD carry right now, with Renekton the most lane bully oriented champion in the game. Raka locked in, and Warwick for Team Sora Mead. So that's pretty interesting. This is a huge pickup. We see it a lot with Cloud9. We see it a lot with Curse. Just a pusher that just supports your late game. So I'm really interested to see what they do with that and the Warwick.
Yeah.
The Warwick is a pick that I would not have expected.
Well, Warwick with that Feral Flare does get a lot of benefits from that, just because his ultimate does those 5 auto attacks, which means he'll have that huge burst potential once he gets towards that later game.
So we have some pretty interesting team comps set up. We see a Nocturne picked out and a Leona. So what we're kind of seeing from Toast on this side is that they're gearing towards a catch comp, a comp that is, we're going to get one person, we're going to kill them, and then we're going to pick off the rest of your team. We're going to see what this aggression does versus the obvious peel team from what we're seeing from Team Sora Mead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely a lot of AoE. So when they go with that Renekton they have on that team, plus Nocturne, very, very strong so far in terms of that AoE and the ability to just take out targets. So we'll see what they decide to pick for those last couple.
They're hovering over an Ezreal and a Wukong. Ezreal is a very good pick, very safe pick against that catch comp with the Arcane Shift out. Are going to lock in Ezreal and Lee Sin. Lee Sin is still a top-tier pick, a very skill-oriented champion. Still a very great pick.
He's going to be in the top lane, right? Lee Sin in the top?
I don't know. It might be a top wick. It might be a jungle Lee Sin. At this point, I would be equally disposed to see either of them. I would rather the Warwick go in the jungle because, as you said, the Feral Flare changes make him a top tier jungler again. We see the ball combo with the Orianna. So the Nocturne. A lot of teams do this ball delivery system, or the Nocturnal ult. The Orianna will put the ball on him and just ult as soon as Nocturne gets in. So with Fiona Orianna Nocturne combo, this team is the aggression incarnate. It just wants to go. It wants to kill. It'll snowball the game from there. As opposed to this other Team SoRo, their whole comp is built on heals, sustainability, let's just live initial burst. We do Lee Sin in the jungle. Lee Sin is going to go, Warwick is going to be the top lane. So it's going to be...
it's been a long time since I've seen top lane.
Okay, maybe not. They're switching up again. I don't know what's going on. It looks like Sona might be in the jungle. With I don't think that is a very meta pick. Okay, now we got Lee Sin again. They're switching with me to mess with me. So fun. And we're about to get into the game. So what are your thoughts on the different different styles, the different teams that we have going on here?
I always enjoy watching those ball delivery and a wombo combo sort of fests. I find it absolutely awesome. We don't have that same normal comp that we see where we have like a Malphite with an Orianna, that sort of crazy ball delivery system, but Nocturne can still be very, very effective with that. Plus, once he starts doing those Feral Flare and his passive, he can just dish out quite a bit of AoE damage by himself as well. So I definitely really enjoy that, even though the pick and kind of poke comp is very entertaining to watch sometimes. I love the ball delivery method much more.
Yes, I'm really excited to see some ball delivery Orianna plays. But I'm also really interested to see if this kind of comp works against the Sona Soraka lane, the Sona Soraka comp, because as soon as someone dives in, they're going to get healed up. They're going to be basically invincible. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Everyone's going to have to clump up for Orianna ult to make it effective. But you also have Warwick, which will lock down any priority target that you want. Warwick and Lee Sin combo is going to be really difficult to pull off an AD carry with because, you have all this dive, but if they survive the dive, which they are prone to do with Soraka and Sona, it's going to be very difficult for this team to peel anything off of their priority targets. So I'm really, as I said, I'm interested to see what the difference is between this hard engage comp, if they can pull it off, and the sustain comp that just wants to stay in the fight as long as possible. Because you have 4 high-level heal champions with Lee Sin with his W, Warwick with his passive, Soraka with her heal and wish, which is the global heal, Sona with her heal, as well as movement utility, and added AD bonus with an AoE stun. I think that these two comps are the complete opposite of each other, and I haven't seen this opposite of an ideal for two teams in a long time.
Yeah.
So.
It'll definitely make it very interesting, because with all those heals, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Morellonomicon or an Executioner's Calling, some sort of method in order to reduce the effectiveness of those heals. And we'll see what they decide to go with, but it'll definitely make it a very interesting game just having those different ones.
Yes, very interesting indeed. And we got about 15 seconds left for this delay, the game delay. So we're about to get into that. Any final thoughts about what you expect to see? We talked on Team SoRo mid player, not really playing a carry role in this one, but what do you think their team comp is going to be oriented towards as far as their carry?
In terms of their carry, I think they're going to rely a lot on the Ezreal He was on their pick. I think they're going to rely a lot on him or the Warwick. I think those are going to be their big two champions. But who knows? Maybe Lee Sin will get a couple early kills, and he will actually carry the game. Because Lee Sin, he's one of those champions where he can carry the game if he gets those early kills. So,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So much heals. And Renekton is also another one of those that we haven't really mentioned that much. He can also be a very effective ball delivery system and dish out tons of AoEs with plus locking down targets, especially with a Leona. Like, those two champions can have some very, very effective means of locking down a team.
Well, we focused so much on the Renekton ball delivery, or the Nocturne ball delivery system, we ignored two other perfect candidates in Leona and Renekton. I feel like this team with, I know Renekton doesn't have a skin and ruined the whole overlay of everyone having a skin, but I really think that the two ball delivery systems are going to be really, really interesting to see. So now we're in the game. We see a lot of standard pickups as far as itemization goes. A lot of standard lanes. So let's kind of go through the game and let's see what happens.
So taking a quick look at the items, everybody's going fairly standard. I actually haven't seen Doran's Shield in quite some time, but it is a very popular item still on that support for the Leona. And once again, there's that Spell Thief's Edge on the Sona, very popular right now, just because it is the highest gold generation for a support if used effectively.
I think the Doran's Shield to Leona speaks to the focus on non-aggressive supports that Red is trying to put out. They're trying to go away from that early game catch, like let's snowball the game early thing, so that it's the laning phase. So they've added a lot to help those poke champions, those heal champions, those natural support champions, and gone away from the tanky support champions really helped AD carry snowball games. And that's what you kind of see there with the Doran's Shield pick, rather than like a Targon's Brace.
Yeah, and everyone else is going extremely standard. We do have that Crystalline Flask there on Warwick for that additional sustain, so he is going to be a sustained monster at this early stage in the game. Like, assuming he's top, Renekton is going to have actually a hard time doing his normal bullying the champion out of lane, just because Warwick has ridiculous sustain already. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out up there. Are they doing double jungle? What's going on here?
I don't know. They might be doing a early red onto Ezreal to try and snowball that lane. I've seen that quite often. Or they're going to do it to Lee Sin. It looks like they are going with a. Okay, Warwick's just going back up top. He's there for pressure. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, definitely very, very interesting. I guess they were just there to prevent the fade there from purple, but very interesting so far at the start. Blue team having a very strong push with the mid lane at Raka, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see her roam around with some 2 or 3-man ganks at either top or bottom. So
yeah, well, the strength of Soraka is that early push, but it's also the fact that she doesn't have to leave that mid lane. She prevents roams from other mid laners because she pushes so hard and can still have an effect with the wish on other lanes. We do see a lot in the bot lane here is a natural counter from Ezreal. Graves is probably the strongest pickup against Ezreal because that lane denies Ezreal the ability to CS and to poke with his Q. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this Ezreal is able to go away from that counter, that natural counter, and figure out, oh, we see an engage.
Leona going in on Sona manages to do quite a bit of damage, and Ezreal actually going all the way in. It looks like he might be able to pick up the kill, but lots of heals going down on Graves, and it looks like he is going to be able to get out. Leona sticking around, just doing a little bit of damage there, but it manages to safely protect her Graves there. So well played there by Leona, saving her Graves there from all sorts of damage. So well played. And there's that heal, that double heal that we used to see a long time ago going into effect there at bottom lane.
I'd like to point out that Ezreal there played that about as well as he could.
Oh man, Ezreal getting engaged upon, but Lee Sin is coming down, and it looks like First Blood is going to go to Ezreal, picking up that Graves, but Leona looks like she should be able to get away, especially with that Nocturne coming down with double buff.
That was a really great play. You saw the Graves originally trying to get away through the lane, but then that Lee Sin pressure pushes him back and just guarantees the kill on Graves. That Graves kill is probably going to snowball bot lane a little bit more because of the wave pressure, because of where the minions are. So I'm really interested to see how this Ezreal continues to press his advantage over his natural counter, as I was saying earlier.
But we'll see if Nocturne will provide too much support there, because giving up that early kill, Ezreal did not go back, so he hasn't gotten the full benefits of, oh my gosh, at mid lane. Lee Sin and Rocket just destroyed Orianna there. Absolutely destroyed her. That
was an impressive gank. I feel like Orianna was a little bit extended there. She didn't have a ward on either side of the mid lane. And strategically, that was not a very good place to be. However, the Soraka push was actually getting outclassed a little bit there. If you saw, Orianna was farther up than you would expect against the Soraka. That's a very interesting thing to see. But as we saw, the gank potential was a little bit too potent.
And Purple team at bottom lane still pushing out very aggressively, even though they gave up that early kill. While all the other lanes are playing, blue team is playing actually fairly defensively all across the board. It's just kind of playing very reactionary right now. So, makes it for...
And as we said in Champion Select, that's kind of how we expected things to go. You know, you have the very heal, reactionary comp coming out from blue side, and the very engage, push, let's go comp coming out from the purple side. So I think that's just, they're playing into their particular comp strengths, and even being down 1,000 gold early is not going to stop them from trying to go after what their comp was made for.
Yeah. And looks like the name of the game is going to be the Feral Flares there on both the junglers there. Lee Sin and Nocturne both have those Madred's Razors, which builds into the Wriggles Lantern here. So they're looking to get to those late stages of the game, just like we expected with the changes to Feral Flare. So, should make for an interesting game. And we do have that Chalice of Harmony on Soraka, so she will be pushing out that mid lane very extensively. Just having that amount of mana regen allows her to spam her Q like crazy. So
yeah, a lot of what people are doing nowadays with Soraka is taking her mid lane and getting that original Athene's Unholy Grail, but then they're just building the rest of her support. They figure that's enough.
Top lane Warwick gets the press there and picks up the kill on Renekton. So Renekton actually got level 6 first, and he didn't manage to pop the ultimate before Warwick actually ulted him. So very, very well played there by Warwick, taking advantage of the hesitation from Renekton.
As I said in Champion Select, I wasn't expecting to see a top lane Warwick. We haven't seen it since Darian's Swag days.
Yeah.
But that was a very impressive pickup. That was just well played by Warwick overall. I'm fairly impressed right now.
Yeah, pretty aggressive play so far. And the last time I saw top wick was, or rather a lane wick in general in competitive play, was back when AP wick was actually a fairly mage wick, is I think what they called it. But,
mage wick.
He is going to AD, so that we will not be seeing mage wick today.
What we're probably going to see coming out of Warwick is more of a tank-oriented combo with a Blade of the Ruined King, most likely. That's typically what you see. And I would expect to see that again from this top laner, trying to go against that high health Renekton, getting a little bit proc on hit health damage with that Blade of the Ruined King. I think that would be a really good pickup, as well as locking a target down, such as that Graves.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like you are correct. He looks like he will be building a Sapphire Cape here, which does provide that substantial AoE damage, plus that tankiness. Does provide a lot of health. So.
Well, a lot of what you see in the top lane is if you build damage early, you're going to get punished early. So you have to build up that tank line before you build up that damage line, or else, unless you snowball, you're going to get punished very much, because the jungle is just going to sit on you.
Yeah. So not a lot of aggressive play so far. We've just had those couple of ganks and the pickup on top lane. But we're already almost 9 minutes in, and we are only at 3 kills. So very, very calm, relaxed game so far. And that gold advantage that is in favor of blue team isn't as large as it may seem. So, because we are 9 minutes in already.
One thing that I would point out as far as the gold advantage it goes is look at Ezreal's build.
Yoda gets a nice ultimate there on Sona
Wow.
and takes him down with a beautiful Nocturne ult in. So nice pickup there from bottom lane.
You see that all in that we're going to kill one target and we're going to get out kind of comp going into effect there. That we're going to focus you, we're going to get you with Nocturne and Leon, we're going to take you out. That was a great use of that ultimate, of that chain, and we see it again.
Another initiate on Ezreal. He does manage to put out a lot of damage, and Lee Sin comes from the back, and it looks like he might be able to pick some Graves, but misses the Resonating Strike, forced to use the ultimate, and here comes Nocturne once again. Leona managing to lock down the Lee Sin, and picks up the kill there for Nocturne. So, well played there by Purple Team. But they did lose their AD carry, but they did pick up 2 kills for it. So,
And I wouldn't say losing the AD carry was such a bad loss there. It was going to be really difficult for him to get out after that Lee Sin came in. I would like to point out that this Leona is doing a lot of good things as far as taking down targets, as far as locking them up for a long period of time, allowing her AD carry to extend that fight for that Nocturne to be able to come in and get that kill participation. So that great job by Leona. Great job by that bot lane picking up 3 kills in the end of that whole exchange. 3-1 is a great exchange.
yeah, for sure. And taking a look at the items, it looks like Ezreal is going for that quick Trinity first. That hasn't been the most popular pick. It is a popular one on Ezreal, but usually we're seeing those Bloodthirsters very, very quickly on those AD carries. So we'll see if he can compete with that damage. It does provide him with a lot of poke, especially on his Mystic Shot, as we can see already. But it doesn't have the same sustained damage and sustain that Bloodthirster does. Bloodthirster is the king of that.
To that, I think that the reason he didn't go with that Thirster that early sustain is because of the Sona and the Soraka heals.
Yeah.
He's going to have a lot of natural team sustain from his own self, from his own team, that he doesn't need the Bloodthirster. So he can go for that high damage, high kite potential, get away from this dive comp that they have going on Trinity Force. And I think that's kind of what his mindset is. I need to get away from dives so that I don't get picked off.
Yeah. Definitely a smart plan with that sheer amount of healing that they have with Sona. And Sona should be able to protect him fairly readily once she does get that ultimate, which she does have now with that level 6. So we should see a little bit more counterplay here at bottom lane, and that's where a lot of the action has been happening. Top has just been, they're kind of ignoring each other now that they've killed one, gotten a kill, but other than that, they're just kind of using their sustain, staying pretty healthy and just farming it up. So, not too exciting.
Once that lane got to a certain point, there weren't going to be a whole lot of kills either way. As I said, I was very surprised when the original kill came through. It was a very good play by Warwick, just because I thought that the 2 ultimates together...
Oh, bottom lane, Nocturne goes in with the ultimate once again on Sona. She does flash out, so they aren't going to be able to get a kill immediately, and Ezreal's doing a nice job of dishing out a little bit of damage there with that those components of Trinity Force. So, and it looks like Purple Team once again trying to engage on him, find an opening, but with the Arcane Shift, he is just able to get back up into the range of safety there.
And you see, with that Phage pickup, that allowed him to be much quicker with the reaction. With the Q hitting, he was able to get out of that dive, so that Leona lockdown that they used the last time to pick him up was very...
And Blue Team getting a very aggressive dragon here, because they did get 3 purple down to health and lower, they were able to pick up a free dragon there. Well played, taking advantage of the fact that Purple Team had... So, very good job there from Blue Team. And that it makes their gold advantage about 1.5k, which is not substantial really, but it will slowly add up if they manage to maintain this controlling of the dragon pit, like they have so far. So
yeah, what we saw with a couple is the removal of the importance of early game dragons.
Yep.
Just to see, this is around the time the teams start looking to those fights. I know we already have one picked up, purple team, but it's going to be very interesting to see the next one. That's what I believe the next fight will be centered. So I would like to see that dive comp going small corridor. So that's probably what the next move is up here in just a minute.
Yep, and now with both the mids having blues, we should see a lot more aggression here from both of them. Just the ability to spam those abilities so much more is going to provide a lot. When it looks like Nocturne is going gang at bottom, but it looks it's clearing that out. Oh my gosh, top lane. Didn't even...
That was a great dive. We saw the instant aggression from Warwick. Oh gosh.
And bottom lane, and more aggression going on. Leona goes for down there at bottom lane, but Sona does a nice reactionary ultimate, shutting down a lot of that damage there from purple team.
And that, before the game, this new AD carry type mindset where I'm going to make a play is just a brawl down here in the bot.
Yeah. Leona has been very aggressive with her Zenith Blade for to lock down a target, and once again she goes very low. She gets forced out immediately. Forced to flash away from the Arcane Barrage. Here goes the Leona ultimate. Big damage go down on Ezreal. He does flash out, and now Graves is fairly low, and that goodness. Sona is so very healthy. And down goes the Graves with the Q, but leaving from the back, and looks like he is going to pick up the kill. So played there by blue team. Baiting out that fight and then just locking it down, forcing them to use some big cooldowns there, and actually not that good.
We see the carry Sona picking up a double kill. What this is going to give blue team a lot of control. The dragon area does give blue team control of the entire blue side now because they have the bottom tower down, and that's the down this game.
Ooh, Orianna tried to get Soraka there, actually burned the ultimate and whiffed it very hard there at mid lane. So, unfortunate there for Orianna, but we'll see if anything comes from it. But her ultimate will be down for a little bit of time, so we won't see those crazy plays that will be happening like we normally expect with an Orianna and Nocturne combo. So, top lane still just kind of pulling it out, and by that I mean it's a farm fest.
Yeah, top lanes are so exciting.
Oh man. And it looks like we might see a full engage here at mid lane. Leona looks like she might be trying to go for a gank here on Soraka with Orianna going for the invade. And keep in mind, Nocturne does have that ultimate up, so we will see him join whatever fight breaks out here very quickly. But it's hard to see what just kind of dancing around here middle.
It is worth noting that Nocturne.
Leona does get a nice Zenith Blade on Sona and actually locks her down with an ultimate and picks up the kill there for Nocturne. Nice little engage there. Just take good advantage of that vision that they did have of that river, and then on it once she was revealed. So well played there.
And we see that the difference, the Nocturne 11 allowed him to ult in without popping that blue ward that was on the other side of the river right there. So yeah. Because they didn't have the initial vision, they weren't expecting that engage. So picking up that 11 was very important to pulling that successful gank off.
For sure, and it looks like we're seeing some rotation here at mid. It looks like blue team wants to put a little bit of pressure here on the mid lane, try and free up this map a little bit by taking out another turret. And purple team in response looks like they're going to have Orianna and Leona try and defend this and having Nocturne back for support as necessary. So, meanwhile, top lane still just farming, and Graves is, farming. So,
yeah, I think calm down a little bit here. The teams are just waiting for the next major objective to come back up. Expect to see as soon as this Renekton picks up some more tanky items, kind of a force towards mid, that being the most prized tower in the game. So yeah. See how that goes.
And Dragon will be back up here. And so it looks like blue team is trying to clear out some of these wards bit more aggressively in this jungle, it looks like, trying to share on Nocturne, but unsuccessful, it looks like.
We do see a ward for purple team on Dragon, so they're going to have full vision of what's going on, and with that from Nocturne, as well as Leona and Renekton coming down Dragon, this is going to be a fight, and Warwick, it's going to be a 5v4 once this Dragon starts, so blue team would be very advised to back off of this Dragon and just take this top tower, and we'll see if that's actually what they decide to do.
And back off a little. Looks like they're going to try and stave it off, buy enough time to take out that turret. And hopefully he'll come down as soon as he clears out that minion wave. But it looks like Purple Team's going for the game from Leona. She does burn her ultimate, but it goes on Sona that they are going to be forced back. Nice kick from Lee Sin, actually hitting that. And that will be enough to cause the disengage. Purple Team deciding to go for that dragon regardless. There's the Orianna ultimate, pulling that Sona back in and picking up the kill. There's the Nocturne ultimate, trying to get onto that Lee Sin.
Oh, the flash!
And Renekton flashing over the wall and then slicing, dicing it up. Raka picking up kills, and Lee Sin just brawling it out there in the Dragon Pit. Picks up the kill there on Dragon and all sorts of kills. So blue team did a very good job of returning to that engagement after what looked like they were going to lose just because they just got picked up there. So that was played.
That was intense. What we saw there was that dive comp. They didn't say, hey, let's take this dragon and then dive, or hey, let's peel off this dive somebody. You had two people peel off and dive, you had two people take the dragon, and you had a ton of burn flashes everywhere. So they didn't commit to what they were doing, and so sustained comp that we're in a fight forever comp actually ended up winning the blue side.
Get them a Baron, it looks like, unless they can get this. It's extremely low. Warwick manages to suppress that Renekton before he could even attempt to steal, and he even went for the wall and still got picked up. So that was fortunate.
Such a huge turn.
Yeah, blue team. Some major events there. That early Baron is going to provide huge benefits for this blue team.
So not only did we see the Lee Sin, the dragon, with a Q over the wall, we just saw the Sin Sakura Baron with perfectly timed. So this Lee Sin is...
And this brawl is still going on. The dive is on. They managed to pick up that tier 1 mid turret, Leona, and now they're going to pick up a tier 2 turret and pick up an inhibitor here, depending on how hard the push. Looks like Warwick is trying to catch this Graves, and he's actually through turret there just because he does have that Baron buff, so sustains there. Graves realized he's in a little bit of trouble. In purple team, they are trying to support here. They're all dead, but she gets forced way back with all sorts of damage and goes down. Purple team just taking tremendous amounts of damage. Down goes that tier 3 turret. Sona locked down, picked up by the Warwick. Still falling back, but it looks like Leona and Graves are both going to go. And I think we're going to see an early game here.
This snowball that took effect from that dragon to that Baron was impressive. The fact that they went from a tied game, brawling back and forth, to game's over now, the Nexus is done, that was impressive. That was truly an impressive turn by blue team in a matter of like 2 to 3 minutes that game turned. That was a great game by the blue side and great pickups all around.
Yeah, definitely very impressive. They didn't have that much of a lead until that dragon, because like they had like I think about 2k gold, I want to say, maybe. And so that gold advantage wasn't that substantial until they got. I'm not sure if they even went back to actually at gold advantage, like really get the full effects from it. But that Baron buff proved to be the ultimate downfill. So definitely,
as we pointed out before the game, the heal composition. The longer that fights go, the better that heal comp becomes. So with Soraka and the Sona, the heal ups, the stat bonuses that they got from those particular champions was just too for the snowball to stop.
Yeah. So very strong first game there in blue team. which was the Toast. Is that right?
Yes.
That was
No,
the Toast.
blue side was Team Sorrow Mead. Purple side was Toast. Yeah.
So Team Sorrow Mead manages to pick up that first game. So well played by Team Sorrow Mead. And they are one of our few veteran teams. If you're just joining us, we did just finish our first round of this tournament. We will be going into the second game here fairly soon. And okay, and we will be back very shortly after this break. We'll see you on the other side, guys.